My friends, please check to make sure that you are still subscribed to my channel because people get deleted every single day without their knowledge. And if you are not subscribed, please consider doing so. This channel could use your support. Thank you all and enjoy this video. My friends, every Star Wars fan knows that the failure of the Star Wars franchise has been epic. As epic as Luciano Pavarotti singing the Ride of the Valkyries in drag on Mount Doom in Mordor, as helicopters from Apocalypse Now blast the hell out of orcs, goblins, and trolls with missiles painted with shark's teeth skulls and pictures of Kathleen Kennedy. That level of butt-clenching destruction is nothing compared to the way that Star Wars fans have had their love and enthusiasm blown to bits by the Disney sequel trilogy, with identity politics rammed down their throats, forced to watch their childhood heroes humiliated and broken, confronted by new characters as thin as the paper they were written on. Many former fans of Star Wars have moved on with bitterness in their hearts, vowing never to return. And while it's true that The Mandalorian has found an audience, that audience is a pale shadow of the enormous enthusiasm The Mandalorian would have received if, under Kathleen Kennedy's control, Star Wars hadn't deliberately told its longtime fans, sorry boys, the Force is female and these movies really aren't made for you. It's business 101, that you don't alienate your best customers, but that's exactly what Kathleen Kennedy did, and now things have finally gotten so bad in such a glaringly obvious way that even the shill media has been forced to acknowledge it. And even Scott Mendelson of Forbes magazine, the financial publication of record, admits, quote, Star Wars may never recover from the damage done by Rise of Skywalker. The article says, Lucasfilm and Disney will still have to cope with the fact that they botched the endgame to the Skywalker saga. No matter what comes next, no matter how well the next batch of Star Wars movies and Star Wars TV shows are received by the masses, the core Phantom Menace to Rise of Skywalker narrative will be hamstrung by a poorly received finale. Heck, as much as Rise of Skywalker repeated the mistakes of Spectre, Spider-Man 3, and Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Greinwald, those franchises either get a chance to set things right in further installments or, in the case of Spider-Man, represents just one variation of an oft-told franchise. But as far as theatrical Star Wars movies about the Skywalker clan are concerned, these 9 movies are it, and Rise of Skywalker badly blew the ending. Scott Mendelson has historically been shillier than Shilly McShillstein, the mayor of Shill City, making a speech on St. Shill's Day, wearing a Mickey Mouse hat. MICKEYMOUFU. But even Mendelson acknowledges that when it comes to Rise of Skywalker, Kennedy stuck the landing right up the ass of fandom. Now, I have to acknowledge the reason Mendelson hates Rise of Skywalker so much is diametrically opposed to the reason why we hate it. We hated the retconning of Palpatine because it completely subverted the original trilogy, turning Luke Skywalker's triumph and Darth Vader's sacrifice into a sad delusion rendered hollow by Palpatine's eventual triumph, killing every last Skywalker and leaving his own granddaughter in possession of Skywalker's lightsaber, lands, and even his good name. Whereas Mendelson hated Rise of Skywalker because it retconned The Last Jedi, which Mendelson evidently thought was the bestest Star Wars ever, given his enthusiasm for its trashing of everything that came before, its identity politics, and its abuse of straight white men who, by God, had it coming, right, Scotty? But this is merely evidence of how intensely damaged Star Wars has become, when both fans and shills agree that Star Wars is an ex-parent. Woody Allen famously said,
I think a relationship is like a shark. It has to keep swimming forward or die, and I think what we have on our hands here is a dead shark.
Ex-parent, dead shark, a nuked fridge, Who would have ever predicted we would credibly be speaking about Star Wars in these terms back when Disney purchased the property from a duped George Lucas? Yet here we are, feathers and fins floating in the water. Mendelson says, quote, I was expecting a well-made movie that occasionally made me roll my eyes in relation to how it walked back or retconned The Last Jedi. I was not expecting an objectively bad movie, one with little purpose save for undoing the prior sequel, the retconned reveals, and delivering a finale that validated the original trilogy Star Wars fans as the proverbial chosen ones, and lacking meat and potatoes, entertainment value. The colossal arrogance of this statement, the lack of even basic financial acumen evidenced by the spectacularly myopic worldview, especially espoused in the pages of Forbes, leaves me temporarily speechless. How can even a shill as bad as Mendelson say such a thing in a financial magazine? But we'll get to that in a moment, once I recapture my wind. Let's have a laugh first before I blow my top, shall we? Mendelson also laments the marginalization and exclusion of Rose Tico from Rise of Skywalker, which just goes to illustrate the truth of the old adage, by their deeds shall ye know them. Rose Tico was a boring and pointless character included in a misguided attempt to market the film to Asian audiences, an attempt so successful that Asian markets roundly rejected not only the character, but The Last Jedi itself. Rose led Finn on what is widely considered the most boring segment in The Last Jedi, the Canto Blight sequence, where she frees the space horsies and leaves the enslaved children behind. And then later, Rose prevents Finn from finally doing something, anything, actually relevant and heroic and interesting by crashing into him. Go Disney! The character was objectively speaking a low light in an already dim production, but hey, Scott apparently wanted more Rose Tico, not for any compelling narrative reason, for she is not narratively compelling, but because I guess girl power and representation and whatnot. What I will never understand is why it's a good thing for any underrepresented group to see themselves up on screen as boring and uninspiring characters. What, you want underrepresented women of color given bland white bread characters to identify with? This doesn't help them to feel good about themselves, and it certainly doesn't help the story to fill it with politically correct placeholders in place of compelling characters who matter. But this mindset that Mendelson promotes here with these comments and with his shilling is in fact one of the primary reasons why Rise of Skywalker and the Disney sequel trilogy as a whole drove fans away, the prioritizing of pointless identity politics over narrative integrity. Even worse, part of the identity politics in Rise of Skywalker was not merely to present ill-defined characters from underrepresented groups to clutter up the story, but a key component was actually to destroy the heroes from the original trilogy, in particular the white males like Luke and Han, because, you know, the patriarchy is evil, time to strike back, blah, blah, blah. This is particularly a problem, not merely because any kind of discrimination, even against white males, is racist and sexist and just perpetuates the problem, but more pointedly, attacking white males is a huge problem when most of your customers are white males. Hello, McFly? Is anybody home? Does anybody else see the madness of this? Why do I, a supervillain, have to spell out to Forbes, the financial publication of record, why alienating customers is bad for business? In this article, Mendelson bitches about validating the original trilogy Star Wars fans as the proverbial chosen ones. Like this is a bad thing. Original trilogy Star Wars fans are Disney's customers. And customers are your bosses. We're the ones you're trying to get to buy tickets. Fans are your life support, you feckless corporate idiots. You invest money to make products, in this case movies. You want people to go buy tickets to see movies so you get money. Fans are your best customers, the ones who care the most and give you money. And when you piss in their faces, they leave. It's pretty fucking simple. Why is this complicated? Why don't you get it? Fans are the ones who made Star Wars the massive hit it always was. They're the ones Disney should have been bending over backwards to please, and they're the ones responsible for the consistently plummeting box office receipts for Disney Star Wars because they're the ones who left. Because of Kathleen Kennedy, because of shills like Mendelson who enabled her, and because of hacks like Abrams and Ruin Johnson who, like haggard onanists, decided to please themselves rather than fans. Well, enjoy your spilled seed, Disney. Hope you had fun. Though instead of trying to shave those hairy palms, use Nair. Even with the diminished box office grosses, you can still afford a few cans of depilatory. But know this, the culling of the nerd from your fandom was entirely your fault. Now even the shills are bailing on this trilogy, on Disney's Star Wars, on Kathleen Kennedy's legacy of destruction. Yes, moving forward, you have The Mandalorian, so long as you don't taint it with the stink of your Disney sequel trilogy by linking it to those movies. But the facts remain. Star Wars will never be the same again. Let this be a lesson for all other franchises. You work for the fans, not vice versa, and you alienate us at your peril. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.
Ha 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 ha.